Hey everybody, it's Grant. Welcome to my brand new franchise. Come on inside. So in today's video, I'm gonna talk about how I actually came to this location, the things that helped me make that choice, the build out of this store, the suffering of building out this store, and everything that went wrong. Honestly, if it possibly could have, it did. So if you love business, if you ever thought about owning a franchise, if you wanna know the meat, potatoes, and dark side of those things, this video is for you. Let's get into it. So to start off with the story, this is my second franchise I've ever built. I ended up building one in Sugar Land back in 2019 when I was like 29 years old. That store is doing absolutely phenomenal. We built it in 2019, and here we are in 2022 releasing Main Squeeze Juice Company, Missouri City. So this restaurant came out absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to show it to you. But let's talk about why I chose this area and how far it was from my other store, and just all the things that I can share with you to help you on your journey if you ever decide to get into franchising or want to open a business. So the first thing I had to look at was demographics. I wanted to make sure this place had enough population, income, and I wanted to know daytime population, which means whenever it's time to go to work, does the entire place get drained and someone goes to work in central Houston or a whole nother area, or do people actually work in this area? That's a huge deal. If you're just the place they're gonna be when they sleep, they're not as likely to visit your business. Another thing I look at that I think is huge is to find out how much that individual is spending on your particular product or service. In this case, this area is super health conscious. They want a concept like this, and I'm telling you, Main Squeeze is a knockout because it is making healthy easy, it tastes great, and it's good for you. Literally checks all the boxes. And to show you how passionate I am about this actual concept and how much I love it, I actually have the rights to build 8 total, which are only on 2. So you're gonna see videos like this pop up all over the place. And I'm really excited to see where this journey takes us. So let's talk about this actual location. I actually bought this shopping center back in 2021. I paid $1.2 million, or just over $1.2 million for it. The mortgage is $6,000 a month, and it hasn't been rented yet. Think about that. If you wanna see a video on that and just the struggles of getting this shopping center rented and building this place out, it's gonna be today, but if you wanna see that, comment below, because that's gonna be so much education from what I went through. But the reason that I actually wanted to buy my own shopping center is because Sugar Land store, I actually pay $5,800 a month, and I'm paying someone else's rent, I'm paying someone else's insurance, and someone else's taxes. I wanna make that profit for me. So this was my first time putting my own business in my own real estate. Honestly, I think it's business hacking. So if you want to see a video on that as well, comment below. I've got a ton of great ideas just keep elaborating on this entire idea that I had. So after I found the location and purchased the shopping center, which I'm so blessed that I was able to do, then it was time to start planning it. So the first thing that you're actually going to do is start, visiting with your architect. You have to have an architect, because I don't do it when it comes to duplexes, but when it comes to a severe project like this, you're gonna have to submit so many drawings to the city. There's no way to do it without them. And that way you don't forget to put a plug here or an outlet over here. You need this architect to do their job and make sure that they get you the best, most functional restaurant you possibly can. Another thing that I always do, I get some chalk, okay? I need to start videoing this. But I started doing this years ago, and when I saw the movie The Founder, I about fell out. I like to actually draw and tape. And you've probably seen in my real estate videos where I'm taping off like where the tub goes. So I like to do this. I make sure that I know every part of my equipment. I make sure I know how it happens. And it's so funny that literally how McDonald's was created, they learned how to do the speedy system by going to a parking lot and just chalking it out, right? So after getting my architect's designs and kind of chalking it out to make sure I like the way that it flows, I started to actually put this design to bid. So basically what this means is I'm gonna send it out to several contractors, and because I am a franchisee of a franchise, they help you do this. So whenever you have a franchise, they're gonna take 6% of your profits to up to 8. They can always include that. Mine takes 6, which I am very thankful for. There is an option for them to turn on an advertising budget to take up to 8% total, but they actually help me get this bid process out. They help me make sure that I'm making the best choices. They're also kind of there with me to make sure they like the design, or to like where the chairs are, the layout, and they do so much to help out their franchisees. So after sending out to bid, I ended up getting several bids back that were very close. So I sent it out to rebid. The build out for this project ended up being $256,000. So once your build out process starts, You need to be at that job and inspect what you expect every single week, if not day. And if you have to, push it every 2 weeks. But so much drastically changes on these build outs because they build them so fast. These build outs are going to take anywhere from 60 to 90 days, depending on how fast or overwhelmed your contractor is. If it takes any longer, you really need to look into who you hired, because these build outs are very, very small square footage. Pro tip, if you can actually look at how much square footage you need to have 2 bathrooms, try to stay underneath that the best you can. Because once you have to put that extra bathroom, there's so much more cost with the plumbing, with the fixtures, with the tiling and making it look nice, the doors and everything else that comes into play. So let's talk about what it actually takes to make a main squeeze. So the first thing I told you was the build out, right at $256,000. The next thing was actually ordering the equipment, which was $120,000. Then you have the architect. He cost me right at $15,000. Then you have a company called RSS, which is our technology. It's the drive-through. We did digital menus. They're so beautiful. And that ended up costing me right at $50,000. The next thing that you're gonna have is you're gonna have your signs. If you can put 2 signs on your building because you're an end cap, do it. Make sure you have as much exposure that you possibly can. Make sure that the design is clean and easy to read. Make sure the name is short and ready to go. For our Main Squeeze Juice Company, this was a nightmare, and I'm gonna share that with you shortly, but that was $15,000. Then all of the product, the fruits, the vegetables, all the things that I need to order was about $15,000 as well to have enough to start doing your grand opening. Then our design was $11,000. This is gonna be like the greenery you see, the plants, this beautiful green wall with this neon sign that says Missouri City. I really love how that kind of brings my audience in, and it makes it more personal for my community. And the last thing you need to have is enough money left over to make sure you can run payroll and pay your energy bill and then get that next week's order coming in. But truth be told, you need to have about a 3 to 6 month supply of emergency funds, just like Dave Ramsey teaches, I teach, and Graham teaches. Because if things start to go so well during your first opening, you don't want to go out of business quite that fast. And keep in mind, rule of thumb, and most what people say is, most businesses don't make money in the first 3 to 5 years of business because it's just so tough paying off the loans and getting all the operating capital together to be able to actually start paying yourself a profit. And then also you're gonna have a franchising fee. This franchising fee, I didn't pay this much because I bought a multiple franchise fee deal, but this normally costs $35,000 for you on your numbers at home, as well as you're gonna have training. My training cost me $10,000 to send out corporate, fly everybody in here, and to make sure that we know everything about the juice fridge, know all the other things. And being that we have another store, you know, it really made things a lot easier. So that put me as not having to pay quite that $35,000, and I'm not allowed to disclose what I pay for it in my contract. But that puts me just over $500,000 in the store. If you were to do this, you're gonna be somewhere around $500,000 to $530,000, depending on how all out you go on your equipment, on your RSS, which is your technology, and your overall design. Let's talk about the woes. I started building this restaurant over a year ago. Yeah, a year. Not only did I buy this shopping center in 2021 and have it unrented, paying $6,000 out of my pocket every single month to make sure the mortgage was covered, but I also had this restaurant being built for a year, and a typical build out from start to finish should be maybe 4 to 6 months. Folks, where do I begin? So the architect actually took a really long time to get the plans to me, messed up here and there, and that ended up giving us about 4 months of that year of some really senseless design flaws. There's really no tips I can do here except maybe pay the top architect in your area if they're affordable, because it was frustrating. The build out process went absolutely phenomenal. Flew through. We got it done in literally 90 days. And then we realized that the architect, or I don't know really who dropped the ball because I told them to do this, didn't send it into the HOA. And in Houston, Texas, HOAs, which they call themselves POAs, are basically overpowering the cities. So if they don't like your sign, if they don't like this, they will sue you just like an HOA would if you didn't do something up to the neighborhood code. So before my sign was actually built, we sent it into the HOA and they were like, not approved. And we saw your drive-through concept, not approved. I'm like, whoa. The city's approved this. Everybody else is on board. And they were like, well, we're not, and the city don't matter. And I was confused, shocked, awed, and irritated, to say the least. And pissed off. The sign process, which was the last thing, the piece to the end of the puzzle for me to open, literally took 8 months to get done. They changed my design here and there, and oh, this needs to be an inch over here, and oh, this needs to be over here, and this needs to be this. And then the lady that was helping us or hindering us, I don't know which one it was, went on maternity leave. The new lady comes on and says, none of the stuff that y'all were doing is actually approved. I don't know why it was changed. We had to start over. Folks, when you have them change the entire setup from like daylighting, I didn't even know what that was, to normal letters, day letters, something, I don't know. It doesn't matter. That basically they were black in the day and white at night, and then that wasn't even approved. I strongly considered, and still am, suing them, taking legal action, because they took me 8 months. A normal business owner that doesn't have other sources of income would have went bankrupt at this point after they spent $500,000 on a restaurant, and then $15,000 of the sign holds you up from opening. Not only did this really kick me pretty hard, but I also didn't lay off any of my staff. I brought them all to Sugar Land and let them keep working because I thought it was going to take 1 or 2 months. 8 months of having a double staffed store, trying to make sure everybody gets their hours. Oh my gosh, it put me to where my labor, even though my sales are rocking, without that balance, it really put me in a bind. And honestly, my store will probably lose $60,000 this year because I cared more about my workers than I did about the bottom line. Do I regret it? No. After me and Brett and our design team sent probably, what, Brett, 12, 15, 30? He's nodding at all of them. He's just like, it was terrible. Right, Brett? Tell him how terrible it was. Just terrible.
It was absolutely terrible.
Worst experience of our lives. But after that, we finally got the sign approved, sent straight to build. Took 6 more weeks, which is still another few months. And here we are, after all that pain and suffering, and it still wasn't done with all the bad stuff. So literally the week before grand opening, our AC went completely out. An issue that could never have been the compressor. They changed every other part on this unit. And then finally, after I said it's the compressor, all the other AC people I know said it's the compressor. They were like, hey, look, the day before grand opening, we still can't fix it. Oh, it's going to be fixed tomorrow. All that nonsense. It was 98 degrees in the store. I went and got temporary AC units. Cost me $1,200. I went and got fans from Lowe's to make sure we had fans blowing in here to make sure that it was somewhat cool. We cooled it with like 7,000, 10,000 tons of temporary ACs that suck. It was like 92. Thankfully, we requested heavily with legal action looming that the AC guy would get this thing fixed because I couldn't wait any longer. And we had spent over $20,000. See, I didn't include that in the other budget. So $550,000, $20,000 on advertisements, social media posts, all this cool stuff that we've given out to influencers to come in here and make a post or a blog about our restaurant. And he got a crane, got a new unit up there temporarily to get me going. And by noon on our grand opening, we were at like 78 degrees, which felt great in comparison. The reason I'm sharing this full in-depth story is because you need to know the good, the bad, the ugly, and the amazing of owning your own business. Anything can happen no matter who you are. And honestly, I didn't know how to fix it. I felt helpless, but I just kept pushing. I kept going. And then now, let me give you a tour of this beautiful store. And then I can't wait to show you how great our grand opening turned out and how much we generated in total sales. So wow, how beautiful did this store come out? And not only that, our grand opening did over $30,000, $10,000 in gross sales each and every day for our 3-day grand opening. We ended up running everything half off because it's just something Main Squeeze does. So no, we did not keep all that. Our net sales with half off smoothies and juices ended up being right at like $17,000. Like that's how we all just kind of judge it with our grand opening because that's our total sales, what we would have done if we wouldn't run the great special. Yeah, less people would come in, but it's just how we look at it. But I am so pleased with those numbers. It's bigger than Sugar Land was. The traffic count right here with a red light sitting right here where everybody's gonna stop is 56,000 cars a day. That means at least 6,000 to 7,000 people are stuck at that red light looking at my beautiful store. Here's a look at the grand opening, and honestly, I'm still in shock and awe, and all the hard work truly paid off. So I really hope this video was very informative to you. I thank you so much for tuning in and following the journey. Like, it's our second store. I'm so excited. We're literally sitting here at like 9 o'clock at night, maybe 10. I don't even know. I've been filming, but I appreciate you. I hope you have a fantastic afternoon. I 100% believe in you. And when things get hard, keep pushing, because eventually it'll work out. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the next one.